So Ghostbusters is getting another movie in 2020, as well as a crossover comic with the Transformers, continuing their pop culture legacy ever since their first film back in 1984. And that's not even including the other Ghostbusters with the giant ape. But enough about Ecto-1s and Proton Packs, and he slimed me. I want to talk about another 80s franchise, one that has been sitting in Ghostbusters' shadow for far too long. Hi, I'm Andre, and I'm a black nerd, and it is time to get wet and eat after midnight. I'm here to talk about some Gremlins. Is this technically count as a black nerd rant? You know what I'm gonna say it is. Black Nerd Rants! Welcome back, Play Cousins, to my YouTube channel, Black Nerd Comedy. If you're new here and like what you see, make sure you tickle that subscribe button and also ring that notification to be part of my squad by the bell. I want to give a special shout out to NECA for giving me Gremlins, which sounds a little dirty when you say that out loud. It's like, hey son, make sure you use protection or you'll get the Gremlins down there. And thanks to all of you who follow me on Twitter at Black Nerd and told me there about the GameStop exclusive Ultimate Gamer Gremlin. I bought 3 of them. See, there's 2 right here and there's a 3rd one. I had to buy 3 of them, okay? Because you gotta have the different accessories on each one. Like one's gotta hold the arcade machine and one's gotta drink the soda and wear the beanie cap, and one's gotta have the popcorn on his head, okay? I have an addiction. But I'm happy to see there's so much Gremlins merchandise recently. I still got my Flasher Gremlin and Greta Gremlin Funko Pop that I bought. I bought this Gremlin shirt last Halloween at Old Navy. They got Gremlins tikis now. Tiki. There's talks right now about a possible animated Gremlin series, not to mention the constant movie reboot talk. I was even at Target and they had a Chia Pet Gizmo. I didn't buy it, but I took a picture of it. But a Chia Pet Gizmo. With Chia Pets, don't you have to water them and put them out in sunlight to make them grow? And technically, Chia is kind of a food, so if you do that after midnight, you're breaking all 3 rules. What's next? A Chia Pet Audrey 2 from Little Shop of Horrors that requires blood? Must be fresh. So here's the thing about Gremlins. When they first came out, I was initially scared of Gremlins. I even had a fear relapse when Gremlins 2 came out. But then I learned to love the entire franchise. I saw the first one on HBO, loved it, watched it several times. Rented the second one, including the game along with it. You know that interview that the Brain Gremlin does in Gremlins 2? You know, Fred, we want is, I think, what everyone wants and what you and your viewers have. Civilization, the niceties, Fred, the fine points, diplomacy, compassion, standards, manners, tradition. That's what we're reaching toward. Oh, we may stumble along the way, but civilization, yes. I used to do that as my acting monologue whenever I had to do a monologue for an acting audition. And that's probably why I didn't get a lot of work. So as someone who personally just loves the Gremlins, it has been hurting for so long to see my favorite franchise sit on the sidelines in pop culture nostalgia, waiting for their time down here, Goonies. While those Ghostbusters just take the spotlight over and over again. Andre, why are you singling out the Ghostbusters over any other 80s franchise for getting more popularity than the Gremlins? I'll tell you why I'm talking specifically about the Ghostbusters. Because Ghostbusters and Gremlins came out on the same day in 1984. June 8th, 1984, both Ghostbusters and Gremlins came out in the movie theaters at the same time. What a time to be alive, right? In 1984. Ghostbusters made the most money, ended up being the highest grossing movie of 1984, but Gremlins was not that far behind, and both Ghostbusters and Gremlins had a strong impact on pop culture. Gremlins had a very specific impact on pop culture. We have Gremlins to thank for the PG-13 rating. We also have Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom to thank, but this is about Gremlins, so I'm talking about Gremlins. What happened was, Gremlins was only teasing the gizmo part a lot of times in their trailers, so all these parents took their kids thinking they were going to get to see some E.T. whimsical family film about a cute little gizmo mogwai, and instead got evil, vicious gremlins getting torn up in microwaves and blenders and flashing Phoebe Cates. Needless to say, some parents were upset. So upset that the MPAA had to create a new rating that was stronger than PG, but not as strong as R to deal with films like Gremlins, and behold, PG-13 is born. And that's the rating that now every movie wants to be in. So Ghostbusters comes out, huge success. Gremlins comes out, also huge success. But then Ghostbusters continues. They get an animated series, a serial, a movie sequel, several toys and collectibles, another animated series, Extreme Ghostbusters. They get comic books, they get costumes, they get cosplay, they get people creating Ghostbuster charters all around the country, all around the world. They get discussed discussions from the moment Ghostbusters 2 comes out all the way to now about there's gonna be another Ghostbusters. Dan Aykroyd confirms there's gonna be another Ghostbusters. That continues into 2016 where we get the 2016 Ghostbusters, which starts an entire internet gender war. Then they get another movie in 2020, not to mention all the pop culture references that they get throughout that time. Meanwhile, Gremlins gets the table scraps, they get the second helpings, they get the hand-me-downs, they get some of these things, but not everything. And this angered me because as a kid, I remember talking with my friends and we would always talk about what we called the 3 Gs. Ghostbusters, Gremlins, and Goonies. We loved all 3 of those movies and we treated them all equally. They were all special to us. But yet, you look at present day and Ghostbusters is still this pop culture juggernaut. Goonies gets mentioned every once in a while for nostalgia fun times, or you haven't seen Goonies? And then Gremlins is just still sitting on the sideline, just sitting on that bench, just ready to play. No love for the Gremlins. It's just not fair, man. I mean, Gremlins had the better video game. Gremlins 2 on the NES is better than any Ghostbusters game on the NES. They had to come back later, make a new Ghostbusters game with the original voice cast for your Xbox 360s and your PlayStations and your Wiis before they could say they had a good Ghostbusters game, whereas Gremlins 2 got it right from the start. And you know what's sad? Gremlins was supposed to have an arcade game that came out at the same time as the first movie, but it got canceled. And they were supposed to have a game that came out on PlayStation 2, and that also got canceled. So now all those canceled Gremlin games are hanging out in the gaming abyss with all those canceled Mega Man games and that new Darkwing Duck demo that came out. And let's talk about Gremlins 2, the new batch. Oh yeah, everyone loves Gremlins 2 now. They didn't love it in 1990 when it became a box office flop, but nowadays you see all these articles and videos talking about, oh, Gremlins 2, it was ahead of its time. It shows our current state of subversive and satire humor. It has a character in it that's literally our president. Gremlins 2 don't want your love now. It needed your love in 1990. Don't be movie zoning Gremlins 2 and then come crawling back later. I'm just playing. And yeah, we're getting figures now, but Gremlins 2 at the time had so many characters that you could easily turn into a toy collection. They had a bat gremlin, an electric gremlin, a vegetable gremlin, a spider gremlin. They had all the gremlins. Everyone gets to make their own gremlin. I love that Gremlins 2 Key and Peele sketch. Thank you. See, Key and Peele know what's up. They know that Gremlins is special. They made a whole sketch about it. Gremlins 2 had a gremlin who was comfortable enough with herself to drink a formula from a science lab to turn into a female gremlin. Gremlins was woke before all y'all. Even though there have been some critics who have claimed that Gremlins is an allegory for black people.
The Gremlins are loud, talking slang, are addicted to fried chicken, and freak out when you get their hair wet.
But it's just a joke, you know, just the Mogwai ate fried chicken to become gremlins, and then they went to that bar where Kate was working, where they were breakdancing and playing pool and listening to jazz. And then they went to a movie theater and talked all the way during the movie. You know, let's just move on. There was a Bugs Bunny Anniversary Warner Brothers magazine that came out around the same time that Gremlins 2 came out. And in that magazine, there is information about how Warner Brothers was planning to make a Gremlins cartoon back then. But according to a Reddit AMA from director Joe Dante, the box office failure of Gremlins 2 led to the animated series being canceled. We could have had a Gremlins cartoon back in the 90s. Wouldn't that have been amazing if you would have watched Kids WB or Fox Kids and Gremlins would have been part of the lineup? Next up is Tiny Toon Adventures, followed by Animaniacs, then it's Gizmo and the Gremlins, and then Batman. We could have had a WB version of the Disney Afternoon. Everybody busy bringing you a WB Afternoon. Hey! But after all these failures, cancellations, and not that much talk about the Gremlins franchise, I just had to accept facts. Gremlins would never be on the same level as Ghostbusters in pop culture and nostalgia. But Gremlins have been slowly creeping back into pop culture. They showed up in a couple of commercials. There's a couple of fan films about Gremlins. There have been special holiday screenings around Christmas time for Gremlins, sometimes even paired with Gremlins 2. The movie It had a Gremlins poster in it. They had Lego Gremlins in the Lego Batman movie. Gremlins popped up in Ready Player One, that Gremlins 2 Key and Peele sketch. Gremlins is starting to get themselves out there, and now we got all this awesome Gremlins merchandise that just recently came out. Could this be it? Could this be Gremlins finally getting their time to be a part of pop culture? They were in Lego Dimensions. Gizmo and Gremlins were in Lego Dimensions. Yeah, Lego Dimensions is canceled, but they were in it. Oh, Ghostbusters was in it too, but the Gremlins were in it. All we just need is some cool dubstep trip-hop remix of the Gremlins theme song, and then we'd be good. YouTube.com/remixmaniacs. You should do a Gremlins remix. I challenge you. And Gremlins are needed more now than ever because what do the Gremlins like to do? They like to destroy technology, pop culture, and our way of life. What better time than the present to attack all of that? With all our computers and tablets and phones and streaming services and vlogging and influencers, this is the appropriate time. I didn't say appropriate. This is the appropriate time for Gremlins to attack all this stuff that we hold so dear or even take for granted. I'm just saying, I'm hoping that all this Gremlins love as of late means that Gremlins will finally get to sit at the pop culture nostalgia big kids table alongside Ghostbusters and Star Wars and Back to the Future and so on. I am ready for the Gremlins revolution. Do not make them pop culture nostalgia of yesteryear. Make them a legacy that has stayed on from the 1980s to today. And while we're at it, can we also bring back the Wuzzles? Now I want to hear from you. What is one franchise from your childhood that you feel does not get the love of pop culture nostalgia in present day like some of these other franchises out there? What's that one movie or TV show or cartoon or whatever from your past, from your childhood that you're like, why are y'all not talking about this? This was the shiznit. Tell me what that one thing is in the comments. And make sure to turn on all your lights and check all your doors and check under your beds because you never can tell. There just might be a gremlin in your house. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you like this channel, make sure you are subscribed. I love you like a play cousin. I'm Audi 5000. After credit scene, head over to twitch.tv/blacknerdcomedy. I'm going up right after uploading this video to unbox these ultimate Gremlins that I got. I'll be doing that live there. If you somehow miss it, don't worry. The archive will probably be there. Or I might even upload it later on YouTube. I don't know. But if you're watching this now and you can go over there and I'm live, come join me. See you there.